Welcome back to another Black City coffee vlog. In this video, we're cupping those roasts we did yesterday. And you saw in yesterday's vlog that I'd already deducted that my dark was a little lighter than their dark. And the light was a little mottled, which meant that the light was maybe too hot, ran it too hot. Maybe a 360 charge, perhaps. I'm not really sure, but we do have enough green for another round to kind of retweak it and everything. But as always, we're gonna cup first and then we're gonna make our adjustments and then roast again and then see where we land and see if we can get a little closer. I ran out of water here and I was like debating whether or not to go get some more water. I'll try it. Well, that is not ideal, but I already know it's gonna be off because the dark was pretty much a solid shade lighter, maybe even 2 shades lighter, I don't know, from their dark, which meant since we don't know what they're doing, we're kind of doing this blind and without any guidance. Maybe they were dropping it at maybe the sound of second crack for their dark, because it's considerably oilier and darker for sure. I've got Mill City Roasters samples here, a flight, and then my sample here, and we're going dark, medium, light like this. And I think I should cup light first, because I'm wondering if when you cup dark, medium, and light in the same flight, you really have to maybe sort of rinse your palette in between. That's what I'm thinking. Just because dark is considerably different than light. Okay, clear, and keep it going. I keep the timer going so I can see. I'm probably gonna cup this around and actually start tasting around 8 minutes. So we'll go ahead and remove the crust. I'm not gonna break the crust and sniff. As I showed you guys before, it's like, I really don't get anything from those, from breaking the crust. We will start here, I guess. I did 12 grams of coffee in these. Since these bowls are a little bit, like they can take more. Oh my God. As long as I don't spill it in other coffees. Now, when you do your cupping and you really want to try to eliminate all the variables and just, you know, test the coffee, definitely don't run out of water like I did. But before that, when you actually grind, make sure to do like a burner grind to prime your grinder. That way it's not carrying any coffee from whatever you last drank or ground. And it kind of like, the first time I did that, I was like, oh, I gotta waste coffee. But I mean, that's what it is. Like when you're really trying to taste stuff and you wanna have the most clarity in each cup and really figure out if you did something right or you did something wrong, then you gotta do it correctly. And it's only like 10 grams of coffee or whatever it is. Okay, we're 3 minutes in, so that means we're almost hitting about 8 minutes or so. So let's go ahead and cup. I'm gonna go ahead and just cup and not kind of like talk through it and just do my first impressions. That way I don't get distracted by like trying to talk to camera or something. So I'm trying to get better with my palette and everything. So I'm gonna go do that. So. Okay, first impression, definitely earthy. All of them have this very earthy base that I don't particularly like. It's not my preference. It's not my preference. That's why I don't buy Indonesian coffees, because I've tasted it before and I'm like, nah, I don't really dig it. So personally, in personal preference, I don't like that earthy thingy. in the bottom of it. That's kind of like grounding all of these coffees. It's not bad. It's just a flavor note. Okay. But personally, I don't prefer it. There is some fruit coming forward in their light roast. It tastes good. You know what? Now that it's cooling down, it's getting brighter in the light roast, and it's tasting better. Okay. You know what? I think I have to remember to, on first impression, because I'm not, for whatever reason, I don't feel like I'm getting an accurate representation of the coffee. So I think I should wait until it cools down. See, I'm at 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes now. So I'm into the 9th minute of this thing, into the 9th minute of this cupping. So I have to remember to maybe just wait a little bit longer and then kind of like make my initial first impression. Okay, so with the light, yeah, definitely in theirs, it's more clarity, it's more clear. A lot of flavors are more like separated, where I'm like, okay, fruit, okay. A little bit of like mellowed out citrus, not a very sour citrus, a very mellow citrus, and then again grounded by that earthy note, that earthy flavor. And then when I taste mine, considerably flatter. And I think that goes, that's with the modeling, that's with that uneven sort of roasting. So the development in that middle phase. And I can't remember what I did in the middle phase for the light, so let's look it up. I do get fruit from mine. But my mid palate, as in the mid phase, where I know it kind of lacked any development, is just feeling very flat, cardboardy, woody. But if I was like, oh, this is, my bias would come in, I would be like, oh, this is an Indonesian coffee, I'm gonna get woody stuff, I'm not gonna have complexity or anything. So it's really nice to have their roast side by side with it. I'm like, okay, that's what Java can taste like when you do it correctly, I think. And if you have a really good coffee, right? If you have a good green, it should taste good. And it's a washed coffee, so that tends to lead us to taste something that is more clean in the cup. Yeah, like their brightness notes, they just come through cleaner. They come through more clear. There's more what we would call clarity in the cup. Whereas mine, it feels like it's like there's no bridge between the bright notes, which I do have, and the earthy notes. And there's this sort of like bridge that's missing, which I don't know if that's true. It's like, oh, if you have a really shortened, not a really shortened, but a shorter mid phase where you didn't elongate it enough, does that lend itself to not have a really nice mid palate, right? I don't know. That's interesting. I would ask that. So as I'm doing this, I'm gonna write down my questions. Not really too. I've heard some schools of thought where it's like you don't have to elongate the mid phase, and if you elongate the mid phase, that means you're caramelizing, and that's the Maillard phase where you're developing a lot of this, like you're executing like the chemical reactions that develop the most flavor and stuff like this. It's like, it's so weird because there's no consensus really. It's really hard to nail down any findings, because you can never be right there inside the coffee when it's like going through the motions of roasting inside a drum. It's impossible at this time. So it's really hard to nail down and have definitive answers to these questions. But I would definitely like to see what somebody who would be like super experienced and to say like, oh yeah, mid-palate flavors correlate to, or do not correlate to, mid-phase elongation or shortening. That would be cool to know. So that's my light. Let's bring up flavor notes. So already mine is flatter. Let me taste it again. So as it's cooling, if it's a good roast and the temperature was masking the flavor, it should be tasting better as it's cooling. So mine's getting flatter, which is not good. What is up with my computes? So the notes they have on the site are most likely the ones for the light roasted. I wonder if I'm being like a hater on my own stuff, because I'm tasting it now and now it's like, hey, they're tasting similar. So I will get somebody in here to like taste it and try to be unbiased. I'm 13 minutes in and they're tasting really similar. Maybe because now my palate is like kind of messed up. So we're gonna drink some water and try to cleanse the palate. All right. Acidity, crisp, bright, citric, touch of malic. Touch of malic meaning was like slightly sour. Flavor, orange marmalade, vanilla, brown rice syrup, black tea, candied almond, milk chocolate. Let's see if we can pick that up. Yeah, orange marmalade, yes, because it's a mellow citrus. It's a very mellow sort of thing. It doesn't jump out at you. But it's good. I don't know what candied almond tastes like. Milk chocolate for sure. Black tea for sure. There's an astringency to it that feels like after, definitely for me, that's more in the finish, not in flavor, yes, but I feel it more in the finish just because how black tea is like kind of astringent with the tannins and stuff. And then vanilla, that's a common flavor note in anything sweet because it's just like, oh, it's vanilla. Which vanilla to me is always like not exciting, but comforting. Not exciting like, ooh, what is that? Like, ooh. It's more like vanilla, like you tasted a lot of whiskey. You're like, vanilla, yup. It's kind of like that thing that just goes with sweet coffees. Sweetness is a heavy, simple syrup. Body, mouthfeel is big, full coating. Yeah, definitely coating. Like, my mouth feels like I've just drank some black tea, very astringent, and you've let that tea bag sit in there for quite some time. Like it's definitely coating for sure. Finish aftertaste, candied almond. I don't know what that tastes like, so I'll try to find like whenever I have, I don't know, maybe it'd be a cool like experiment. These candied things, like what does that taste like? I've never had currant before. Red currant, is it currant? Jelly, orange jelly, yes. I'm getting that orange marmalade thing. Maybe not jelly, because jelly I think is more sugar forward, and marmalade is definitely, there is sugar for sure, but it feels like there's little orange bits in it, and it's definitely like it's more subtle, so it's not so sweet. Spice and vanilla. Am I getting any spice? Fresh butter. That's so cool that you could pick up fresh butter. Why? Because it's like a fatty film in your mouth. That there's this big coating film in your mouth. The lemongrass, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't get lemongrass from mine, and that's probably because I think I would have singed it out with that sort of too hot charge temp. But let's look it up for sure. And we'll pull up the city profile and view it. I'll put my, I'll link it in the description to show you, which is really cool about RoastPath, that you can link to your roast curve. And I think that's a really neat feature in terms of just like sharing information back and forth. I thought I did okay. Yeah, we did a 3-minute mid phase. Yeah, like I remembered, I was trying to go for something like 3 minutes 30. Definitely shorter than what I would do in any coffee. So I was like, yeah, it was too high of a charge. Like definitely I'm trying to go for like a 40% development there. I almost reached 30, so I'm not there yet. And I think that's where the development of flavors is lacking, and it feels flat to me. It feels woody. Despite what I was saying, like, oh, this tastes similar. It's just because I think I was going back and forth between the two, and now the palate is kind of muddled. But I'll trust what I first tasted when it was coming off, maybe like the 8th minute of being brewed. Definitely mine was flatter, you know? So I feel like their coffee got to the finish line in good time, and mine was just like kind of dragging its heels. Yeah. And this is a 20% development time. Yeah, it's just too hot of a charge, and we did a 375, so it's still too hot. And I was saying in the last vlog, like I think it's because those little coffee beans alongside with those big size coffee beans, I was like, that makes it kind of weird. So maybe in the future too, it's a good learning experience. Like, oh, if I have different size beans or varietals in a green, then I can choose a charge temperature that doesn't favor the larger bean. It will maybe come somewhere like in between or something. So yeah, I'm thinking like not 350. I think that's just way low, but it would be kind of cool to try. I would ask Lauren or Derek or something, because I only have one more chance to like nail it. And so I would just kind of ask them and then see, and then kind of deliberate from there. Instead of wasting time, I could just ask them, right? So that was the light. Okay, we spent a lot of time on the light, and that's what, because like in cupping, it's like you don't typically cup for dark and medium stuff, right? It's like you're gonna get most of the flavor and the nuance in the light roast. The further along that you roast the coffee, you're gonna potentially lose some of those flavors. So let's just cup it and see. But I wanted to spend the most time on the light roast for sure. Okay, here's my medium. And we're quite a bit, you know, we're 20 minutes in. Jeez, because I talk so much. All right, on first taste, they taste really similar. And I feel like, yeah, I did a pretty good job with this medium. I will now go and check my full city profile view. Again, I'll link it in the description so you can see what I did. I have a little tail end in my development. Yeah. My development time, my mid phase is just, I think, too short. But in a medium roast, I feel you can cover mistakes more. Honestly, I feel you can cover mistakes more because it's getting roasty anyway, right? It's getting roastier. It's stepping into that territory of nostalgic coffee where it's not about clarity of flavors. It's really about body and balance. I think that's what a consumer is kind of looking for when they're choosing a medium-bodied coffee. And they're most likely going to put cream and sugar in it. So it's really kind of easy. It's easier to mask your mistakes as a roaster, roasting medium. I think, you know, that's one way of looking at it. It's probably not the artisan's way of looking, like, oh yeah, you can make a real artisan roast medium. I totally agree with that. But I'm just saying, when I'm tasting these back and forth, I'm like, yeah, I think I could mask my mistakes easier. And my palate is not skilled enough to pick up the nuance, which means like I'm more on the kin of like a regular consumer. I still have some brightness in there, which is cool. Theirs is roastier, mine's brighter, and I think that's not because it's better, it's because there's less development in the mid phase. So it kind of almost works in my favor. Theirs is roastier for sure. Yeah, so 25% development time on the medium, a 3 minute for mid phase. should have been longer. Almost started to bake it towards the end, kind of like waiting for that 25% development. It's 2:45 in the final time. But not bad. I mean, it tastes like a solid medium roasted coffee that you would get, I don't know, anywhere. To me, it's nothing bad. All right, let's check out the dark. I thought the dark, going into dark, would be the most difficult just because I didn't want to bake at the end and leave the coffee in the roaster just to hit a number, which, you know, that's kind of what I was doing. But still trying to keep a nice declining rate of rise. And again, I'll link it in the description so you could see. I had a little crash that I was able to bottom out and kind of, I think, fix. But let's see how it tastes. Okay, here's my dark. And again, it was like lighter shade, a shade lighter than theirs for sure. I really don't like dark roasts. All right, mine is a hint more, a degree more flatter and woodier in taste. Definitely they have the same roasty thing that's kind of like grounding it as a dark roast. We start just getting dark, it just tastes roasty to me. And I'm like, again, my palate's not skilled enough to pick up that much nuance when we start getting to this territory. You know, theirs was darker, but I feel like I can still pick up some acidity in there. It's really subtle. I really have to kind of like look for it. But when I first taste it, it's like, it just tastes woody to me. Woody and not bad, like earthy, okay? Like earthy, dirty, dirt-y. Not dirty, but dirt-y. Like, not bad, you know? If I'm looking at it and I'm judging it as a dark roasted coffee where it's about roastiness, it's about body and boldness. A little smidge better on the mid phase. I got 24%. We did charge this at 380. I kept the higher charge because I felt I needed to have enough energy to go for a longer time in the last phase, in the development part. And I did a 35% development phase. And I think I did okay in terms of like trying to match flavors with it. Rinse the palette, try it again. I'm gonna back some up and ship it back to them and be like, hey, how did I do? I'm gonna ship it back to them and see. I'm sure Lauren can give me a really good evaluation. She's like the master of sensory stuff over there, to see how I did. I want another kind of like professional opinion on it, and I think they'll help me out. I'll just ship some over and then ask them to review it, because to me, my darks in flavor are really, really similar, and I can't really pick them apart right now. Maybe if I did something blind, but 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. 1, 2. Yeah. 1. Compare this one to this one, this one to this one, this one, like that.
Okay. Okay. This one, this one's probably has the most dimension.
Right. Yeah.
And this one's like a little flat.
Yeah.
In my perspective, like couldn't get through any layers of taste.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just bright, nutty chocolate. But then there's no like layers of taste.
Yeah.
And then the first one, this one tastes better than this one. This one has more flavor. It's nutty cocoa, dark chocolate, red cherry, like kind of dark red cherry. And then this one is a dull version of that, but it's bright cocoa and chocolate. Between these two, this one's brighter. It's more sour. It's like a lemon tea, hibiscus and raspberry.
Cool. Okay, now I'll let you know what they are.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are all mine.
Yeah.
This is theirs. This is light, medium, dark.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yours is better.
Except this one.
Yeah, besides this one's duller. They nailed this one.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, your two has more. But this one is probably the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Papa. Okay, bye. Cool. All right. So, yeah, I think what happened in the dark roast is, yeah, definitely I need to learn how to elongate the mid phase when I need to, on like coffees that I'm not used to, without wasting so much coffee, right? And then on the development phase, how do I make sure I have enough energy to keep going without baking the coffee? Which I feel like I did, and maybe if I had a longer middle phase and knew how to do that, it would just be that added dimension of flavor that I would need to kind of match up to their dark, instead of just leaving it there longer. There you go. That was the cupping. I'm going to have another stab at the light. I don't really care to roast these medium and dark anymore. Oh, dark, I probably can't. Like, probably try that again. I feel like I got the medium. It was like, it's whatevs. It's not whatevs, but it's just like, I'm not motivated to go do that. I would really like to develop this light roast a little bit more to see if I could nail it anymore, and again elongate that mid phase, or ask the question: is that even a metric or an event that I need to worry about? Which I think the answer will be like yes and no. So we'll see. Yeah, cool. So I'm gonna give it another shot on my own, and we'll probably like cup another light roast flight. I'll see what's up with the dark roast, going back and forth, trying to work it out with Lauren and everything. I feel like I can maybe figure this one out on my own, maybe, and maybe not the dark. I don't know. We'll see. And we'll save that for like another coffee break series when we need some coffee and we can cup these and actually like go through the whole motions of it and try it again. But yeah, that was really fun. I really love doing that. It challenged my brain a little bit. It kind of goes to show me like, cool, I went and roast something that I wouldn't normally roast. It wasn't a total, you know, like, I don't think I screwed it up at all. I think I was pretty close. And I think it just needs some fine tuning to get to that, you know, to the best that I could be at this point. So yeah, I'll try it again for sure. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Like this video if you did. Subscribe for more content like this, and we will see you in the next one. Bye bye.